I welcome you all to another interesting session with JMeter. This is me, Vasant Shanmugam, and I welcome you all to Little Slav YouTube channel. Today in this video, we are going to see how to do parameterization in JMeter. In our previous video, we saw how to create a script from scratch in JMeter. If you have missed it, please check the link in the description. And kindly don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you are visiting our channel for the first time, and like and comment your valuable feedback. Thank you. So parameterization. What is parameterization? So the parameterization is a process that allows the testers, or mainly the performance testers or the load testers, to run the same test again and again using different values. So we might ask a question, why should we use parameterization? Why can't we use the same data? We have an answer for that. What if we run a test without parameterization? So when we are testing, or when we are doing a load test without parameterization, say for example we are running a test with 100 users or 1000 users, even if we don't observe any errors, the user and session data will get cached. So what we are effectively doing is we are not testing the application, instead we are testing the cache, and that is not the objective of performance testing or load test. So to avoid the caching, we use multiple data through parameterization. So now let's see how to do parameterization in JMeter. So today we will cover the parameterization in three different parts. First, we will create a simple script, which is a login and logout script. And then we will see how to do parameterization in JMeter. And at the end, we will run a test with parameterization and we will check how does it work. So now let's start with the first step. So as we saw earlier, let's create a test plan with a template, and let's take a template with recording, and I'm clicking on create. So we have got our test plan, and let's now start recording the application now, recording the script. So as we saw earlier, we will have to change the proxy. Let's change the proxy before we do our recording. Since we have already set, so we have the address and we have the port number ready. Let's click OK. And now we are ready for scripting, recording the script. Clicking on this. Let's now start with the very first step, that is creating the test script. So we have the port ready, and let's start creating the script now. Let's click start to enable the local host to be active. Let's click OK. Let us start with the very first transaction, that is the landing page. So we have landed the very first page. Now let's enter the store. I'm clicking on the enter the store link, and now we have come to the JPEG store. and let's now sign in with the first user. I'm entering 1. So we have signed in successfully. We are able to see the sign out, my account, all these links. Let's now sign out. So now we have successfully created the script, and let's now see how to implement the parameterization in JMeter. So here we have the steps we have recorded during scripting, and let's now see how to add the CSV files for doing the parameterization. So to add the CSV dataset configuration to do the parameterization, let's first click on the thread group, right click on thread group, select add and select config element. Now select CSV dataset config, and now we have the CSV dataset config inside the thread group, and here we have various elements. Let's see them one by one. We have the file name. So if our file name ends with the .csv file, then we can enter the file name here, where we have the parameters. Say for example, if in our script we are going to parameterize the user name and the password. So we have the other set of parameters in the file, and the second element is variable names. So this will contain all variable names which are comma separated, and they are equivalent to a column name in a CSV file in the same order. And if this field is kept empty, then JMeter by default will take the first row from CSV file. And then we have the delimiter. It is used to separate each record in CSV file, and comma is the default delimiter. But if your file uses tabs or any other delimiters, then we need to define that here, like a semicolon or any other delimiters that we have in our file. And then we have the allow quoted data, which is set to false, and values that can be put under double quotes, which allows values to contain a delimiter if enabled. Next, we have this recycle on end of file. The EOF is an abbreviation of end of file, which means if we plan to iterate over the CSV file more than once, then we must set it as true. So by default it is true, and it instructs the JMeter to go back to the top of the CSV file. Say for example, if we have only 3 values and we want to iterate 10 times, and by setting this, it will take the values again from the top once it reaches the bottom or the end of the file. And then we have this stop thread on end of file, which is set as false, and if we set it to true, it will stop after reading the whole CSV file. Say for example, if we are reaching the end of the file which has only 3 values, then even if the test has 10 iterations, it will stop executing the third iteration. And then we have this sharing mode, and this sharing mode has different options like all threads, which is we can share the file between all the threads. And then we have this current thread group, which makes the file to be opened once for each thread group in which the element appears. And then we have the current thread. Here the file is opened separately for each thread. So let's now define the variables here. I'm entering the file name, that is parameter.csv. CSV and the variable names. So we have two variables. One is username and the password, and the delimiter is going to be comma, which is the default one, and we have no other changes. So we are done with this part. So let's now go into the script and make the necessary changes. So let us now see one by one where we have to use the variable. So in the landing page, we have not used enter any values, and even in the enter the store. Let's now move to the sign in. So here we can see the username. So let's now change it to dollar symbol and an open flower bracket and username. And again, we have to change the password as well, the same way, dollar flower bracket and password. We have to make sure that there should be no case insensitive. Let's once check that we are using the same variables here. And now we are done with parameterization. Let's check whether these values are being repeated in any other requests as well. So far we are good. We have replaced the values successfully. So let's now let's now validate the test and see how it executes. So let's now run the test and validate and see how the test runs. So we have run the test and it has run successfully. So here we can see the application is logged in successfully, and let's see the variables. So here we can see the username 1 is being used. So let's now validate with our parameters as well. So let's now run 3 iterations and see how does it work. So to do that, we will have one thread and let's have 3 loop count and let's see how it works. Let's clear all the previous executions and now let's start. So we have all 3 iterations successfully completed. Let's see the request. And here we have the username 1 and password 1. Let's now move to the second iteration. And here we have password 2 and username 2. And we have username 3 and password 3. And let's now check even the response of the application. Yes, so everything is being successfully executed and the login has properly happened. So this is how we do the parameterization. So let's do a small recap now. So first we created a script. We created a script for just a login, a sign in and a sign out in the pet store application. And then we have got the script. And next we have added this CSV dataset config by right clicking on the thread group, going to add and then go to config element and selecting the first option CSV dataset config. And after we set the dataset config, we have created a file name. Actually we have created a file name with parameter.csv extension, and then we gave the username and password, and then we have made a delimiter. We have made the recycle on end of file as true. We have stopped the thread on end of file as false, and we come into the script, especially the request where we have these values. So here instead of 1 the username, we have replaced it with dollar and username, and the same for password, dollar with the variable name password, and then we have executed a validation and all the values has been successfully replaced. So thanks for joining me. In our next video, we will see how to do correlation. Thanks. Thanks everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel.